The face has always been an object of fascination. We study it to detect sincerity, to recognize affection, to find clues about health or stress. Long before any formal practice emerged, people were already forming judgments based on appearance. These were not always rooted in cruelty or ignorance. In many cases, they were simply instinctive. A drawn expression might suggest exhaustion. A furrowed brow might seem to reflect worry. Over time, these impressions hardened into systems, rules and interpretations that claimed to uncover character through facial form. Although it eventually became formalized, physiognomy was never confined to science or belief. It permeated art, storytelling, and law. Characters in literature were often described with facial features that reflected their moral qualities, and in courts of law, appearance could sometimes sway judgments. In social life, too, a handsome or symmetrical face might be treated as a mark of virtue, while a crooked one might be unfairly seen as suspicious. These ideas wove themselves into culture in quiet ways, guiding behavior and shaping expectations. In modern times, the instinct to link appearance with identity has found new tools. These tools do not look like the face readers of old. They operate through machines that measure pixels and patterns, transforming a photograph into a cascade of values. These values are then compared across vast collections of similar images, creating statistical models that claim to reveal insights about personality, preference, or potential. The process appears objective, driven by numbers instead of emotions, but it is still grounded in the same old idea that the face contains truths that words or actions might conceal. What makes this modern version so striking is its speed and scale. Whereas older forms of physiognomy were slow, individual, and prone to personal bias, these new systems operate across thousands of images at once, finding patterns invisible to the naked eye. They might link certain facial shapes with speech patterns, or identify expressions that tend to appear before specific decisions are made. These patterns are then used to predict, to classify, and sometimes even to judge. The use of these systems is not limited to any one field. In some settings, they are used to observe reactions, how people respond to what they see or hear. In others, they are used to suggest future behavior, based on facial signals captured in past moments. There are even systems that attempt to evaluate emotional states by watching for tiny shifts in facial muscles, claiming to understand someone's mood without needing them to speak. These machines do not guess in the traditional sense. They calculate. But the results of those calculations can still be misleading, especially when the models behind them are built on flawed assumptions. One of the greatest concerns about these modern systems is that they often operate without explanation. A person might be labeled inattentive, deceptive, or anxious based on a reading they never agreed to and cannot understand. The process behind that label is often hidden behind layers of code and design that resist scrutiny. What's more, the data used to train these systems may carry the same social and cultural biases that have long plagued human judgment. When machines inherit these biases, they risk reinforcing them on a much larger scale. There is also the danger of over-reliance. Once people begin trusting these systems as truth-tellers, they may use them to make decisions that should involve careful human thought. These tools might be used in interviews, security screenings, or educational settings, places where the stakes are high and individuality matters. But reducing a person's complexity to a set of facial markers is risky. People change. Faces shift. Expressions can be misunderstood. No machine, no matter how advanced, can account for the full context of a life, or the countless experiences that shape a person from within. Artificial general intelligence is a form of advanced intelligence capable of learning and applying knowledge across a wide range of tasks without needing specific instructions for each one. Unlike narrow systems designed to perform single tasks, this type of intelligence can transfer understanding from one area to another, reason through unfamiliar problems, and make logical decisions even when presented with ambiguous or incomplete information. It is intended to function much like a human mind, with the ability to develop new skills, refine existing abilities, and pursue goals without constant human supervision. Over time, it is capable of improving itself, enhancing its functions without needing to be reprogrammed or guided. One of the core features of this form of intelligence is its ability to interact with the world in an active and self-directed way. Rather than sitting idle until it receives commands, it seeks out new information, tests its assumptions, and forms its own hypotheses. This process, often referred to as curiosity-driven learning, means the system is not limited to following a script. Instead, it evaluates its environment and assigns value to gaining new knowledge. For instance, in a research setting, such an intelligence might assist human scientists not by waiting for instructions but by suggesting new experiments, collecting data, and identifying patterns that might otherwise go unnoticed. This type of system also faces significant challenges. Human cognition is not fully understood, and replicating its depth and complexity remains one of the most difficult problems in science and technology. Developing intelligence that can reason, feel, reflect, and adapt like a human requires processing immense volumes of information. The power required to simulate such processes is vast, and even with the most advanced machines, fully modeling human understanding has not yet been achieved. The gap between what is technically possible and what is biologically accurate continues to be a major limitation.